had always loved Easter at my parents' house. The scent of cinnamon rolls, fresh flowers on the table, and the laughter bouncing off the walls made it feel like a small slice of perfection. But this year, something in the air felt different, like the calm before a storm. Before I even sat down, my mom placed a thick, cream-colored envelope in the center of the table. No one said a word. I glanced at my dad. His eyes were unusually still, fixed on me in a way that made my stomach twist. I tried to laugh it off, but my hands wouldn't stop trembling. If you're curious about what happens next, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. I want to know where you're watching from. Everyone settled into their seats, forks clinking against plates. My younger brother, Jake, whispered something about the envelope being part of a new family game. I smiled, trying to match his excitement, but my heart was already racing. Faith, my mom said, her voice calm but carrying an odd weight. We have something very important to tell you. I nodded, trying to keep my composure, and leaned slightly forward. The room went quiet. My grandparents, my aunts, my cousins, all eyes on me. Every instinct screamed to get up and leave. But I stayed, gripping the edge of my chair like an anchor. Before I reveal what was inside, don't forget to like this video, it keeps stories like this alive. Then my dad cleared his throat and said words I could never have imagined. Faith, you're not our biological daughter. The world seemed to tilt. A fork dropped somewhere behind me, clattering against the tile. My heart stopped for a beat. My mom's hands shook ever so slightly as she rested them on the envelope. We know this is a shock, she said softly. But we've kept this from you all your life. And it's time you knew the truth. I felt the weight of 50 eyes on me, everyone waiting, silent, expectant. I wanted to ask a million questions, but no words came. The envelope sat there like a tiny promise of revelation, daring me to reach for it. If you've ever had a family secret revealed, comment below and share your story. And hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. My stomach churned, my mind racing through memories that suddenly felt like someone else's life. Birthdays, holidays, the countless small moments I thought defined my family. All of it now shadowed by doubt. And yet, that envelope in the center of the table seemed to hum with a quiet authority, insisting that I open it, that I face whatever truth lay inside. Time slowed. I reached forward, my fingers brushing the paper, feeling its weight. Every eye in the room locked onto me. Every breath paused, and in that moment, I realized that nothing would ever be the same again. After my parents dropped that bombshell, I couldn't breathe. I forced myself to take a sip of water, but the glass trembled in my hand. My mind raced, retracing every memory, every conversation, every moment I had thought defined who I was. And suddenly, everything felt different. If you're watching and your heart's racing, hit subscribe now and leave a comment. I want to know your location and local time. I'd grown up believing in my parents' rules, their love, their guidance. I was the daughter who remembered birthdays, who made the school lunches, who always helped clean up after family dinners. I had been their perfect child, the one they boasted about, the one who quietly followed the script of the Mercer household. But now, that script felt like it had been written for someone else entirely. My dad cleared his throat again, breaking the silence. Faith, we have documents that explain everything. We wanted you to read them for yourself. He gestured to the envelope on the table. The paper seemed almost too ordinary for the weight it carried, but I could feel its significance. My younger brother, Jake, shuffled in his seat, glancing nervously at me. He had always been quiet, the observer of family chaos. But even he looked unsettled now. My grandparents' expressions were unreadable, part curiosity, part worry, part something I couldn't place. Before I continue, make sure to like this video if you're invested in this story. Your support helps me tell more real-life family dramas like this. The room was tense, filled with that strange mix of expectation and fear. I thought about all the Easter mornings we'd celebrated together, the egg hunts, the chocolates, the laughter that echoed through the house. And suddenly, every smile felt like it might have been an act. Every hug a shadow of a lie I had unknowingly believed. I reached for the envelope again, my fingers brushing its edges. Inside, there were papers and a small photo. I could see a birth certificate, a hospital record, and a faded photograph of a tiny baby I didn't recognize. A rush of questions flooded me. Who were my real parents? Why had they given me to my parents? And why now, why on Easter, surrounded by everyone I loved? If you've ever had a life-changing secret revealed, comment below and share your story. And hit that subscribe button, so you don't miss the next part. I glanced at my mom, searching her eyes for answers, for reassurance, for something that could make sense of all this. She met my gaze steadily, and for a moment, I saw the weight of her choices, the guilt, and the love that had somehow survived decades of deception. My dad avoided my eyes, fiddling with his wedding ring, a man caught between regret and pride. And in that moment, I realized that this Easter dinner wasn't just about revelation, it was about control, about truth, and about the moment where I had to decide how to face it all. I took a deep breath and lifted the top flap of the envelope. The paper inside was crisp, almost ceremonious, and I could feel my pulse in my temples. There was a letter, typed neatly, and a small stack of documents that made my hands shake. If your heart is racing, hit subscribe and leave a comment. I want to know where you're watching from. The letter began simply, but each word hit me harder than the last. Faith, you were entrusted to our care at birth. Your real parents believed you would have a better life with us. This choice was made with love. I blinked, trying to process the enormity of it. My parents had kept a secret for 25 years. And now, in front of the entire family, they expected me to digest it with a smile? The photograph fell out of the envelope, a tiny newborn, swaddled in a hospital blanket. My eyes traced the shape of the baby's face. And then I looked up at the faces around me. Everyone was watching. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure to like this video, it helps me share stories like this with more people. Faith. My mom's voice was soft, almost pleading. We wanted to tell you ourselves. We didn't want you to find out any other way. Her hands trembled slightly, and for a fleeting second, I saw the mother I thought I knew. But my dad's expression was different. There was a tension there, a worry that I might not react the way they hoped. We thought today was the right time, he said quietly. With family. And everyone here. His words trailed off, and I realized how carefully they had staged this moment. Every detail, every seat, every person, it had been planned. I felt a mixture of shock, anger, and betrayal bubble up inside me. How could they have made this Easter, a day I had loved since childhood, into a stage for their revelation? The warmth of the cinnamon rolls, the laughter I remembered, even the smell of the fresh flowers, it all seemed like a lie now. If you're feeling the tension with me, hit subscribe and comment your thoughts. I want to know who you would have turned to in this moment. Then I saw it, the small, folded note tucked under the letter. My mom's handwriting. Open me last. My fingers trembled as I unfolded it. Inside was a single line, and then a series of signatures. My biological parents' names. A legal document confirming everything. The room went silent, as if the envelope itself had sucked the sound out of the house. My younger brother's jaw was tight. My grandparents leaned forward, eyes wide. Even my cousins looked shocked. I felt a strange calm wash over me. The truth, however painful, was finally in front of me. And yet, even as my hands shook, I knew one thing. This wasn't just a revelation about my birth. It was a test of their control, of my composure, and of how I would choose to respond in front of everyone who had silently watched my life unfold. I held the envelope in my hands, feeling the weight of every secret it carried. The room was silent except for the soft hum of the chandelier above. Everyone's eyes were on me, expectant, anxious, waiting for my reaction. My fingers traced the edges, steadying myself. If you've ever had a secret change everything, hit subscribe and comment. I want to hear your story. And where you're watching from. I opened the last fold of paper. Inside was a single photograph and a small note. The photograph was of a smiling woman, her arms wrapped around a newborn. And the note, written in careful handwriting, read simply, Faith, this is your beginning. Love, your real parents. The silence stretched. My stomach twisted, my mind racing. I could see the shock on my mom's face. A flicker of fear that I might scream, cry, or run. My dad avoided my gaze, fiddling nervously with his cufflinks. The family I had known all my life looked like strangers in a theater, watching for my next move. Before I continue, smash that like button and comment. If you can feel my heart pounding, you're part of this story now. I set the envelope down slowly on the table. Then I spoke, my voice calm, deliberate, and steady. I see the truth now. Thank you for sharing it. My words hung in the air, soft but heavy. There was no screaming, no dramatics. Just quiet authority. My brother's eyes widened. My grandparents blinked rapidly. My cousins leaned forward, as if afraid to breathe. My parents sat frozen, realizing that their carefully orchestrated revelation had not broken me. It had not given them control. I stood, letting my chair scrape softly against the tile. I walked around the table and picked up the envelope again. I'll need to take some time to process this, I said. But one thing is clear, who I am isn't defined by biology. It's defined by how I live my life and the choices I make. If you're holding your breath, hit subscribe and comment. I want to know if you would have done the same. I placed the envelope gently in my bag. We'll talk more later, I said, glancing at my parents. Their expressions were unreadable, a mix of regret, relief, and the sting of realizing they hadn't controlled the narrative. My family sat in stunned silence, the weight of the moment settling over them like a heavy fog. And then, I smiled. A small, quiet smile, not of forgiveness, Not of reconciliation yet, but of clarity and self-possession. I had faced the truth, and in doing so, I had claimed my power. The envelope had not shattered me. It had freed me. I looked around the table one last time, meeting each gaze. "Happy Easter," I said softly. And for the first time that day, the tension in the room shifted. The story had ended, not with chaos, but with a quiet, unshakable resolve that nothing could take from me. The envelope had spoken. And I had.